participating directly in this project. Okay? Has there been any spin-off in the bars and so forth? Okay? And if so, how much? I'd like to know your feelings on this.
I think a lot of students in my school were like impressed by the way we use concrete and these kind of innovative ways that they had never seen before. And I think that a lot of them will now start to think of precast and pre-stressed concrete and use those materials when they perhaps would have chosen something else had they not been informed of them. So I think that a lot of students are beginning to just like become more aware of the possibilities that you can do with precast concrete after seeing the work done by our studios, and it's definitely starting to spin off a little bit and take hold in other studios as well.
I mean, I can tell you also from our students, our studio space is basically a large Butler Trust building, so we have a complete porosity throughout all the levels. And once the students start seeing kind of like our 4-6 foot tall models kind of like going up, there is a lot of cross communication. And since I'm also teaching senior projects, I've been noticing a much more influx of projects that relate to precast concrete from students I haven't taught in the precast class. And I think Michael has a similar relationship with those students who graduated just recently in coming out of our studios.
Well,
as well.
we're actually able now to get, we actually are using AE Studio as a starting point for a senior project. So this is our first year. We're gonna have students actually signing up for it as a senior project and AE Studio, and they will continue working on this project for the next 2 quarters to actually to do more in-depth design.
So, and I think that this relates to this mystery of precast, like this infinite possibilities, but we don't really know what it is. I think it starts, and Doug actually also gives talks to the full class of students always already, and so I think there is much more kind of like education on the precast over the last at least 5 years. I know that for sure. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of osmosis going on.
I think there's also osmosis from students. Architecture schools, most of them have students who move between each other and are very curious. They go to each other's reviews. They really want to know what their colleagues are doing. A lot of it is competition. Did I pick the right studio? Are the students doing better than I am? And I think there's just we're starting to see a lot of great work by architects. So that when the Pro Museum, when we had people come out and speak about that, it just got students really enthusiastic about it. And so they're seeing great work by people they admire, and then they're seeing these other students working with that, and it's like, hey, I can do this. What was this material? What can I do with it?
I think Thomas McGregor from UNCC last year during the Solar Decathlon, there were only, 12 or 15 people in the actual studio that were designing the precast components to that. But there were over 53 students involved from all the engineering disciplines, plus the architecture. There were 2 different studios doing the architecture. And they were building this outside the engineering building. And lots of students got involved in that process. Lots of students got involved in the actual Solar Decathlon and manning and helping to erect that out on site in Irvine, throughout your territory. So there was a lot of osmosis going on with a lot of those students. And generated from that, as was mentioned, Dr. Tempest's your original doctoral thesis in geopolymer cement concrete, and now his student, who has a poster downstairs, Maria Trejo, has a Jenny Fellowship in the geopolymer cement concrete, in generating other interest, and with cement issues that we have in the industry, that's generating a lot. I'm hearing other things in the technical sessions about that.
Matt, do you want to add something?
Well, just to build on these comments, I mean, I think the one thing that's really amazing about industry supporting educational programs is that young students are impressionable because they don't yet know what that material is, what the prefabrication process is, and I think that's a really good thing because then all the preconceptions that people out in the world have about a particular it's a blank slate. And I think that's an amazing kind of opportunity to show the possibilities. And quite frankly, what's amazing about the experience, I think, looking at from the point of view of a teacher, is that it's not just about precast. It's about, for example, the shop drawing process and learning about shop drawings and learning about the incredible level of precision and coordination and planning that has to happen on the front end of the design process as opposed to on the tail end of the process. It's kind of a revelation, for architects. Of course, we think, just like, make some pictures, right, and, pass it off.
And in the 11th and a half hour, finish the details.
So, I think that's an extraordinary experience. And I think the challenge that we all face as teachers is how do we give a broad experience and a deep experience simultaneously within the confines of a particular class structure that we have. We all have different constraints in university, different levels at which we're teaching at. So, we teach, our PCI Studio is at the 4th year level. It's a kind of advanced exploratory kind of thing. It gives us more flexibility to structure the teaching the way we want to. We tend to focus on building components and parts, not necessarily per se because we're interested in componentry, but because it's easier to digest in terms of the learning process, right? So, we see a lot of studios looking at kind of plaster casting as a kind of a surrogate for, for the thing itself, right? It's manageable within the classroom within a limited amount of time, and then kind of gradually we try to sort of scale up components into systems, and before you know it, everybody's run out of time, right? That's basically what Brett was just alluding to. It was the first time we did the studio, we spent way too much time on that front end process, just kind of ramping up, learning about material process, kind of the component families, and by the end there was no building. And then of course, the administration comes back and says, "Where's your building?" Right? And so those are the tricky balances that I think we all have to figure out the right kind of combination of things. And I think one of the most interesting opportunities is looking at the different presentations and seeing the offshoot programs or courses, like what you were just describing, Michael. That there's the PCI Studio, but then there's an independent study that comes out of it, a research opportunity, or Brad's example that he showed. I think that's a really great opportunity where you can sort of pull the work out of the kind of purely educational realm and the confines that a class has, and go in to a much kind of deeper level.
All right, any more questions for this particular panel of experts? All right,
I just